Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Xanton, and welcome to today's video for Honkai Star Rail. Today I kind of wanted to do this video. I've been meaning to do this video for a while. If you follow other Honkai creators, like Star Rail creators, YouTubers, streamers, whatever, you've probably seen something like this. But I wanted to make a tier list. We have 1.2 coming up. We're going to be getting new characters, new relic sets, basically a lot of these characters are going to be shaken up. A lot of their builds are going to be shaken up and team comps will be shaken up. Some characters that are bad now might get a lot better. So I want to make a tier list on my personal thoughts of every single playable character right now. So we're going to be skipping these last few characters because they're not in the game yet. But we'll go through everyone. We'll rank them S to D tier, S tier is like these are the best of the best. A tier is like maybe there's just something that's making them fall just short of S tier. Maybe something in the S tier is doing what they try to do but better. B is basically the mid tier. I feel like this is the majority of the characters are going to fall in B tier. C and D tier are kind of the bad characters, really. Maybe they're very situational. They just don't put up good numbers. Maybe some other character just is better than them at what they're trying to do. Again, we're mostly going to be focusing on 1.1. This is purely opinionated, though, so if you have any kind of critique, any kind of differing opinion, first off, I'd love to hear it, and this is not meant to be like hey, this character sucks, don't roll for this character is great, roll for this character. This is just my personal opinion. Remember, in Honkai Star Rail, you can beat the game's story and even do a lot of the late game stuff with the free characters like Dan Heng, and even the Trailblazer, the main character. So first off, who do we have? We got Arlan. I feel like a lot of people give Arlan a bad rap, give him a hard time, really. I do think he is kind of bad. It's not even like certain characters where his element's a little rare. He is an electric character, and if you want electric DPS, I feel like Serval and Jing Yuan are just better. Yes, he's more single target based than they are, and his, I guess, berserker playstyle does let you help conserve skill points. All of those positives are why I'm going to put him in C tier. But I do think with the upcoming patch 1.2, he might be, he could probably jump up into B tier when I do this type of video again, because there is a new relic set that is coming out that seems pretty good for him. Next up, we got Asta. I might be rating Asta here a little higher than you think. I think she is an A tier support. I think she's actually kind of underrated. I do think compared to, say, like, well, we'll actually talk about her soon, Bronya, she does need a little more thought behind her team building, because I feel like she really wants to have some fire characters with her for that trace that she has. But I do think people underrate her ultimate, the speed boost. She also has good break potential thanks to her skill. Next up, we got Herta. Before you say, oh, easy one, trash. No, I think Herta is definitely a C tier character. Honestly, maybe even a B tier, but I'm going to keep her at C tier. Reasoning for that is she does have solid AoE, ice damage dealer as well. And if you want ice damage, there's only really Yanqing, and Yanqing's mostly single target. Yes, there is like Gepard, but Gepard's not really out here doing damage. His ult is pretty good, though. Next up, Bronya. If you've played Bronya, if you've seen Bronya, you should know exactly where she goes. She is pretty much one of the best, if not the best buffers, so no argument here from me. She's just so good at giving more and more damage. She is easy S tier. Similar vein, we got Seele. Also easy S tier. One of the best, if not the best, damage dealers, especially when it comes to single target damage. When it comes to multi-target AoE, whatever you want to call it, I feel like I think she falls off a little bit, but if it's only one unit, she's doing a lot of damage. And unlike, say, a Yanqing, she doesn't really, she can take some hits too, unlike Yanqing, who starts to lose his damage if he gets hit. Next up, we got Serval. Serval is pretty much like the definition of a B tier character. Fine, she's got a fine kit and everything, but I feel like she just gets outshone, I guess, by Jing Yuan. pretty much that's it. I do think in the future, though, with Kafka, she might rise up a little bit in Kafka teams, but for now, I would just put her in B tier. She's okay. Like, it's whatever if you want an electric dealer. Gepard, not much to talk about with Gepard. He's pretty much the best of the shielders. And, you know, his element, Ice, we already talked about a little bit with Herta. Ice is a pretty solid element, too. We also got Pela. I really like Pela. I think she is a very underrated support, too. It's very similar to Asta. I know some people don't underrate her, but I think she is a little underrated. Basically being one of the few ways to actually strip off buffs, if not the only way to strip off buffs from your opponents, at least the easy way to strip off buff from your opponent. She's really, really nice. And a solid character you should consider in your teams, especially depending on the enemies and if they have good self buffs. Then we have Clara. Clara's weird. I like her. I think she is definitely an A tier character. Honestly, I might even put her in S tier. I'm not sure. She's like definitely bouncing between A and S tier in my personal opinion. But I don't know. I feel like she is a little hard to build. She kind of needs a lot of resources too, but assuming you have all those resources dumped into Clara and supporting characters, I think she is a very powerful character. So yeah, I think she is definitely an A tier character, but she can like kind of whiff even when she's built and when she's supported properly. Unlike say, Seele, who's just going crazy and hitting everything. Next up, we got Sampo. Honestly, some people might get mad at me. I think Sampo's a C tier. You might say I'm crazy. I'm putting Sampo with Herta. I'm putting Sampo with Arlan. Really? Yes, I do think Sampo is kind of meh. Yes, he has wind damage, and if you want wind damage, you're going to get who? Dan, and Dan compared to Sampo, I mean, Dan just does crazy amounts of damage if you build him properly. Sampo, if you build him, doesn't do that much damage. I do think Sampo will go up. I will say that, though. I do think Sampo will at least jump to B tier in my next video because of Kafka. I think Kafka DOT-style gameplay will make Sampo jump up. But for now, the DOT payoff is not that great without Kafka, outside of Simulated Universe, of course. Next up, we got Hook. Hook is fine. Like, if you just want a DPS unit, Hook is fine. Solid fire, pairs well with Himeko. So yeah, just it. Kind of sucks in terms of AoE though, so that's why I'm preventing her from going up to A tier. Is a little weak on the AoE and multi-targeting or whatever you want to call it. Luocha, as for Luocha and the 3 healers in general, I would say in general, Luocha is the best healer. I'm going to put him at S tier. I think, especially if you have Eidolons, but even regarding Eidolons, I think the fact that he has like, I don't know, passive healing, whatever you want to call it, basically his field and his like emergency auto heal when a allied character goes below 50% health is really, really good. Imaginary damage too is very high in demand for a lot of content as well. So basically his basic attack and his ult, and you will be using his basic attack because of that field and that smart heal, I guess is another way to call it. His auto heal, his safety heal, emergency heal. So you will actually use his basic attack, and that helps you actually save up skill points. Next up, healer. We got Bailu. Compared to Luocha and Natasha, Bailu lacking a cleanse does hurt her quite a bit. I will put her in A tier though. I think that revive of hers is pretty powerful, especially in certain content if the rest of your team is not farmed well and is a little squishy. But I do think the lack of a good cleanse, the lack of a cleanse in general, just keeps her from being a little higher. If she did have a cleanse, I would honestly put her in S tier. And then we have our next healer, the free-to-play healer, the 4-star healer until Lynx comes out. We have Natasha. I like Natasha. Love her design. Sadly, I'm just going to put her in B tier. I do think she has some strengths over Bailu and Luocha. She does have a cleanse, which is nice too. Her ult is a kind of emergency burst heal, and it's an AoE burst heal, which is the one thing I say she does have definitively over Luocha, is that AoE burst heal compared to Luocha's emergency heal, which is that safety heal, that smart heal that only heals one character and then it goes on cooldown. So still though, I think that one thing doesn't make up for all of Bailu and Luocha's positives that they have over Natasha. Next up, we got Jing Yuan. I think Jing Yuan, I would put him in S tier. He is like, he seems to struggle in terms of damage against single target stuff, but I still think I would put him in S tier. And if you are a whale and you want a whale, he gets insanely good. But I do feel like Seele does beat him in terms of damage for single target, but if for AoE, you know, you can do your classic hyper carry stuff. You know, you put on the Tingyun, you Tingyun buff him, maybe Yukong or Bronya or whatever, and you just buff him. And then his big boy, Susanoo looking guy, comes in and deals a bunch of AoE damage. So yeah, that's nice. Next up, we got Yanqing. I'm gonna probably get a little attacked here for what I'm about to say about Yanqing. I honestly don't like Yanqing. I'm actually giving him a B tier. First 5-star that's not in A or S tier. I honestly think Yanqing is, I wouldn't say bad, like he is a serviceable, playable character. I really feel like the fact that his DPS drops whenever he gets hit is preventing me from giving him A tier. I'm floating between A and B tier for Yanqing, but I'm settling at B tier because a lot of characters, like Yanqing doesn't want to be hit. He wants to stay like unhit and have someone else take all the hits for him so his damage can stay high. And the moment he gets hit, his damage drops. And some enemies, you might say, well, I can use taunts, like with a Fire MC. Some enemies have AoE that don't care. They don't care if you have taunts. They're just going to hit everything. And that's going to really hurt your Yanqing. But the other reason why I'm considering putting Yanqing in A instead of B, one of the things that's making me even hesitate to say B tier is ice damage. If you want an ice damage dealer, what's your other option? Herta? And I will say this, Herta is more of an AoE kind of damage dealer in my opinion. Next up, we got Tingyun. I don't really know where I would put Tingyun. I'm struggling here. I think I'll put her in A tier. I really like her. But I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like Bronya just in general does what she does, but a little bit better. Yes, they're doing different things. You know, Tingyun is more ultimate oriented, but I think they do similar things, and Bronya just barely ekes out a victory in terms of buffing on the damage tables. Next up, Qingque. I like her. One of my favorite characters, both design-wise and playstyle-wise. I'd just put her in B tier. I think like little too, the RNG, while fun, is just going to hold back her damage and her consistency. So B tier. Good replacement if you don't have Seele, though, in like a mono quantum team. And honestly, I'm going to use her in a mono quantum team, but having to basically, you know, roll gacha in your gacha game makes her a little bit hit or miss. And then we got Sushang. I actually like Sushang. I'm honestly unsure of where I'm going to put her in B or A. I think I want to put her in A tier. This might be I might be overrating her in all honesty. I really, really like Sushang. Good single target damage. If you have Eidolons, she gets really, really good. She gets to hit things multiple times too. Her E1 just helps her manage skill points that much better. Pretty solid at breaks too. So I really like Sushang. I am a little biased there because I do like to use her and put her into my teams as my main damage dealer. So I might be overrating her, but I think Sushang is pretty good. Honestly, the fact that I'm rating Sushang over Yanqing might make some people mad, but you know, Sushang can take hits and keep her damage up. Yanqing can't. Next up, we got the Trailblazers, the MCs. First off, we have Fire Trailblazer. I'm giving them a B. I think Gepard just does everything Fire Trailblazer wants to do, but better. Better shields. I guess you could argue Fire Trailblazer has better break potential because of, I don't know, their AoE and their buffed, altered basic attack, but generally Gepard is just better. Mono fire team with Fire MC might be kind of cute too, you know, like a Asta, Fire MC, Silver Wolf plus a carry, Hook or Himeko, but meh. Next up, we got Physical MC. I'm not even going to try and be nice here. Physical MC, D tier. I just don't understand why you do Physical MC in your team. You want physical damage, play Sushang, play Clara. The only argument you could say is, well, the Physical MC has AoE, but I mean, I'm pretty sure like if you want to deal damage to a lot of things, Clara is kind of solid at that too, thanks to, you know, counters and taunts and tankiness of her. So yeah, I just don't see a scenario where physical MC is just better than Clara or Sushang if you want physical damage. And the only reason I think you should actually have the physical MC on your team is you are a free-to-play character in the very start of the game. Next up, we got March. I like March. She gets really strong with some more Eidolons, pairs well with Clara. I'm still gonna give her just a B. If her ult did a little bit more than just, you know, hitting a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I feel like if it were her ult, it's basically her ult that's holding me back from giving her a little bit of a higher ranking as a support character, shielder character, whatever you want to call her. But I'm only gonna give her a B. Like, yes, again, like I said, she has good synergy with Clara. But again, I feel like, honestly, even Fire MC is a little bit better than March, and especially Gepard. Like, Gepard just crushes and completely replaces March in most comps I would want March, except for Clara, of course, because of how March's shields work. Next up, we got Dan. I'm actually going to put Dan in A tier. I think Dan is really, really good if you know how to build him well. The only reason I'm not giving him S tier is he does kind of suck against multi-units, against like more than one target, just having a lack of AoE. That just does hurt, but he does a surprisingly high amount of damage for a free-to-play character, and you can definitely be using him even in the end game. Wind damage also is a little... I mean, a lot of damage sources are lacking, but wind damage is kind of lacking too. You have, what, Sampo and Bronya? And you might not even have Bronya, and I'm going to be honest with you, you probably don't want to place Dan plus Sampo. Maybe, though. I'm not sure. Next up is Himeko. Some people might laugh at me and say I'm an idiot for this rating. I'm actually giving Himeko a B. And this is one of the characters that I disagree with a lot with other people's tier lists. I've seen people putting Himeko in like C, even D, bottom of their tier list. And I'm just like, Himeko, in my opinion, has a place. First off, she is a fire character. And if you want a fire damage dealer, your only other option is Hook, who, don't get me wrong, I did say Hook is a good character. Hook has terrible AoE. Plus, in a lot of content, a lot of gameplay stuff, especially MOC, you are going to have to be dealing with a lot of units, a lot of enemies. A lot of enemies will also be summoning more enemies too. And stuff like Dan actually kind of struggles with that because they can only really target and focus down one thing at a time. Meanwhile, Himeko, she can toss that pizza cutter of hers around, and that flaming pizza cutter is going to mow down those enemies. You got her ultimate, her space laser hitting them too, even if they kill them, giving you some energy as well. And her skill is pretty solid too. Plus, she kind of pairs well with Asta. So, you know, Asta with her trace to buff up fire units, I think it's like around 18% damage increase is really nice with Himeko because of Himeko's AoE. I feel like this might be a point of contention though, so if you disagree with me, I would love to know why you disagree with me and whether you think I am overrating Himeko here, but I feel like I gave a good explanation for Himeko. We got Welt, Mr. Yang. I put Mr. Yang at A tier. I think he is a solid character to build for a damage dealer. Imaginary damage as well is pretty rare, even with the new imaginary characters of Luocha and Yukong. So yeah, not much to talk about him. Just solid character. He also imaginary is a pretty good break. The Imprison, I believe it is called. So I like him. A lot more A tier characters than I thought. Just goes to show that a lot of these characters are very playable and very good if you build them well. Speaking of A, I'd say Yukong is also an A tier character, A tier support. Most of the supports are really good in general, in all honesty. So sorry, a lot of these A tier characters are supports. They're just all really good. They all have their scenarios. Yukong is also one of those. Similar to Welt, imaginary damage really well. She also has pretty good break potential too, thanks to all of her kit. And extra damage is always nice, so you can kill things faster. And our last character is Silverwolf, one of my favorite characters. Easy S tier. No other character really does exactly what Silverwolf does. Implanting weaknesses just lets you have so much team building potential. You get access to all those mono teams, you know, mono quantum, mono fire. Even mono imaginary now. You could go like Luocha, Silverwolf, Welt, and Yukong, and honestly, that doesn't even sound that bad. So yeah, I think Silverwolf is S tier. As for the rest of the characters, we got what? Kafka, Blade, Luca, Imbibidor, Fu, and Lynx. They are not out yet in the game, and we don't even really know everything they're going to do in terms of stats, unless you look at leaks, which I try not to look at leaks. So that is my tier list. That is my personal opinion. Again, like I said, I actually ranked a lot more characters at A tier than I was expecting. I thought I'd have more in B tier, but don't get me wrong. Just because I rank something low or in B or C tier doesn't mean I think they are unplayable. And honestly, even the physical MC at D tier is fine. I'm not going to say they're good. I think they're fine and playable, but with the right builds, with the right team, you could definitely use Herta, and I even think like I might be being a little rough on Herta and Sampo here by putting them in C when they should maybe even be in B. And of course, some of these characters are probably going to go up, maybe even down with the new patch, with the new relics, with the new characters of Blade and Kafka. A good example of that is Sampo. I do think Sampo will go up in my personal tier list because of Kafka and her DOT style gameplay. Arlan might go up because of the new relic that's obviously meant for Blade, but Arlan likes it as well. I still feel like even with that new relic set, Arlan's going to just feel like discount Blade. You know, we have Blade at home. But I could be wrong on that, and maybe we'll see people unironically playing Arlan because of his skill point conserving playstyle, I guess you could call it. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like anything you heavily disagree with? I'd love to hear your opinion and why you either agree or disagree with me. And what you think, how you think this is going to shift and change with the upcoming patch with 1.2. How do you think the new relics are going to shift things up? How do you think Kafka is going to shift things up? Blade, etc., etc. And that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it too. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me and always helps out the channel. And if you guys want to keep up with the Honkai Star Rail content, you can always go and subscribe to my channel as well. And if you guys want to watch me play some Honkai Star Rail, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zeneton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye!